Good afternoon. Yeah, it is good afternoon, 4 o'clock. And we've got a bit going on in this video. So we're going to be building our new mezzanine floor. We need to take our damaged lathe to the lathe repair shop. So we're going to be going over to Leicester and having a look at that. What else we've got going on? The old sprayer, it's just having its MOT at the moment, its yearly inspection, so then we'll be up to date with that. We've had a couple of lorry loads of straw going out, just got them loaded as well. We've only got 2 load left and they're coming in the next week or two to collect those 2 last bits, so that is good. So yeah, I think we'll get on. We'll make the mezzanine floor first and get cleared out through there and see what it looks like. I hope you enjoy, and if you've got any questions, put them in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. So the first thing I've got to do, I've got to take all the old car ramp out because we can't get in, it's completely in the way. So we're just going to lift that out, get it all out the way, and then we're going to move on to the lathe. So the lathe will be the first thing to come in. The lathe's coming in, and we've given it a bit of a clean up because it was a bit of a mess full of swarf, so we've cleaned all that out. And yeah, that now sits under here quite nicely. The next thing that we've got coming in is the Ajax milling machine, and it's a bit of a big brute because it weighs over 3 ton. So yeah, it is really heavy. It's taken a bit of manoeuvring, but I wanted to get all this machinery in before we build the mezzanine floor. Yeah, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to get it in. Because if we built the floor and then tried to lift it in, we wouldn't be able to, and it's going to be a nightmare trying to slide that. That's there. Press brake is going next to it. And we're going to build the floor next. So there, mezzanine floor, all the racking is going to go back up on top, and that's where all the spare parts are going to be. So this is going to be like a bit of a machining workshop. I don't think it's going to get used that often, but it's having the capability to be able to do something like that. And the good thing about these machines compared to the old ones are, none of the old ones ever had any guards or safety features, so everything now is, you know, everything's safe. It's all got digital readouts as well. This, obviously, this has got guards. I don't think the machines actually work. They're on sensors, so they won't actually work until you put these on. So when we have a health and safety inspection, they can, you know, everything's all up to date now. This has got a digital readout as well. So yeah, once we've got all this built, the other lathe, a friend of mine's having it, and bit of an end of an era that really, but yeah, is what it is. Right, let's build the floor. So going to weld them all on there like that, and tyre fitter's just come. Look, he's fitting David's rims for his. Oh no, the new Goodyear tyres for David's tractor, the local tractor salesman. So they've just come back from nights and all been painted, so they're looking pretty good actually. So my idea is we're going to replicate. Basically, if you remember, quite a few years ago, for the new people watching, we built this mezzanine floor, and it was the start of renovating all the workshop really, because it used to be a complete mess in here. And we're going to put it that side. So we're going to walk up these stairs, we're going to walk through a door over there, and then so this side will be nuts and bolts, and then the other side will be like wearing components, like parts for cultivators and whatever else. But yeah, I've had all the steel pre-cut. Everything's all pre-cut into the right lengths, because it's not that much to have done. It makes my life a lot easier. So all I've got to do is cut the plates out and then put them on the end, weld them up. And I hope this afternoon we can just lift it all into place. We will mag drill the stanchions through there, put it up, and yeah, you can see why I wanted to put the mill and the lathe in now, because there's no way I'd get it under. I'd have to like slide it under. So yeah, let's weld all this up. That's put in there, on there for the timbers that sit in the roof. So we're going to put the red oxide on the bits that we have welded on first and let that dry. And then we're going to paint it like we do everything else. Bronzewick green, we've got some T-Mac and Couvar paint here. And everything's painted green in this place because it was my dad's favourite colour and it was painted after a train he liked. This is our airless paint sprayer like you've always seen in the other videos. It's an amazing bit of kit and it makes my life so much easier for painting everything. Gets up, the way it works, it doesn't use air, it's just got a big piston inside that goes up and down, and that's why it's called a airless paint sprayer, and everything is operated by just using loads of pressure, and then it just comes out the end of the gun however much I want. When I just put the pipe into the tin of paint and it just sucks it out however fast I need it. So it's an excellent bit of kit. I bought it from the local decorating centre and I think it was probably about £600. Kieran's come down because James is on holiday.
Yeah, he's sunning it in Australia.
Yeah, he'll be back this week though, won't he?
Yeah, that's it, back Monday.
We've made all the skid plates that we looked at last time.
Yeah.
And it hasn't taken long. Other Tom has been up here and he's managed to draw, I think it took about 10 minutes to, because this one here, this one that we've got is the original one.
Yeah, it is.
So I think it took about 10 minutes to draw that out, and then what we've done, we've obviously just copied it. But what we've done differently, Glyn in the workshop,
Glyn.
he was saying that the heads, like on these bits here, he was saying they wear out and then like wear the tops of the heads off. So what I've done with these ones, you can probably see, I've countersunk them deeper.
Yeah.
So whether that's going to be...
That'll be a lot better, I would have thought.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. And we've got a big... We've had a big cost saving as well. I think I managed to get a sheet of steel for 240 quid, £240 for those watching in America. He was saying that these to buy were £100.
Yeah.
So 240 quid for a sheet of steel. I've cut 8 out of a sheet of steel.
Yeah.
So that's like 800 quid's worth. I want about 100 quid of my time because it's took 18 minutes to cut this lot out, and we've managed to get 8 of them. So I think you can do the maths, but
about 700, 650 quid.
Yeah, a bit less, bit less.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're a bit dyslexic, aren't we?
So
no, I've got to come down and talk about it because he was saying you're getting through like 4 of these sets a season.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to be able to lift it. Oh, God!
I'd rather you than me.
This is, you wouldn't believe how heavy this is. Right, so this is like real hard wear plate. Yeah. So you would usually find this in like a crusher. So they'd line crushers with it or dump truck bodies. And nearly. Yeah, I've done it and I just haven't drilled it yet. I haven't plasma cut the holes because this, I wouldn't be able to use this to countersink them, you see, because it'd be too hard. So I've got some tungsten carbide drill bits and I don't know if they're going to drill it because this is extremely hard. I mean, this is probably 5 times, if not 6 times as hard as what that mild steel is.
Yeah.
So we're going to drill these out and then we're going to countersink them and hopefully it'll work well. And then I'll talk about what material this is in one of the next videos when I bring it down to James, because if we could put this on the bottom and it not wear out for 3 or 4 years,
then
it'd be a massive cost saving.
Yeah.
So, right, we're going to get all these loaded up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're watching, James.
I'm sure he is.
I'm sure
he
James.
Won't miss nothing, will he?
No, he won't. He'll be sat there laughing with his grin.
He will be.
So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're going to get these, and then if we can make this out of, this isn't magnetic either.
It's not.
No, I couldn't believe it. I forgot. So when I went to use the crane to load it on the plasma cutter, I put the magnet down on this massive sheet of steel I couldn't even lift, and I was like, I thought the magnet was broken.
Yeah.
And no, it's not. It's because it's not magnetic. So can you put in the comments on what you think this material might be? So anyway, right, back to the PX farm. So this is one of the lathes we picked up a bit ago, and this was the original one planned for in the workshop, and it's quite, well, it was a nice lathe. It was a real big lathe as well. We would have had a lot of capacity with this because it's so long. It's the length of this trailer. So it's a Colchester Mastiff 1400, but obviously when the company took it out, it fell off the pallet tines and dropped, and look, it hasn't smashed the bed, but it's broke this gantry basically just here, which is a real shame, and I haven't got the bits to be able to fix it. And I thought, well, it's pretty much scrap, but came across a chap who actually restores them, and he's got a couple of scrap ones of these, and luckily he's got the bits for it, but for me to do it would be too expensive, so we're going to take it to him, and he's basically going to do me a bit of a deal and a bit of scrap price. But he's got a lot of other machinery as well, so we're going to have a look. Maybe I can swap it for some bits for my mill or for my other lathe or for my press brake. So we're going to go and have a look. These are all the lathes and different mills there are. Look, there's tons and tons and tons of them. CNC milling machines in here. I just thought we'd come and have a look around. He's obviously got the bits to be able to repair it, so which is quite handy. We have just been looking at a few different milling machines, but I think I might stick with the Ajax one that we're putting at the moment, because obviously, you know, we're not going to be using it that much. Something like this, look, these are all different milling machines, but something a bit smaller, because that Ajax that we looked at is absolutely massive compared to this, you see. So yeah, all sorts of different bits and bobs in here, look. Tons and tons and tons of some nice bandsaws over here as well. More mills over here, another Ajax mill over there, not quite as big as mine. More lathes, these are all being refurbished or whatever they're doing. Refurbish them all to keep them going. These are very old, these sorts of bits of kit, and they yeah, just keep them up and going. Obviously this one's having the bed refurbished on it. Yeah, it's like a kid in a sweet shop. More Bridgeport mills over here, just over there like that. There's tons of stuff in here, isn't there? But little press, all the bits you might ever need for whatever really, all the different four-jaw chucks, face plates, loads and loads of bits and bobs. Bridgeport mill head just there. Little Colchester Triumph. So that's the same as the one we've just put in the workshop, but mine's slightly longer and it's got all the safety equipment on it. DRO, digital readouts. Right, let's get this lathe off, and we've had a bit of a look around so we know what's here, but it's handy to know, like trying to get all these bits and bobs like this. This one here is just being stripped down. Look, you can see all the gears inside that lathe. Bit of a big job really to have to strip one of these down if one of the bearing goes, so I don't think I'd like to do it. Big CNC mill with a turret head. Would I ever need one of these one day? Probably not. Yeah, a lot of stuff in here really. So yeah, get it put in here, cleaned up, and Right, so that's what we can. That's what we've just done. We've lifted all that into place now. So the next thing to do, I didn't realise. Usually we sat on the other side mezzanine floor. We sat the wood on top of that block wall, but we can't this side because there's a big bit of wood behind there holding the cladding. So I've got the old RSJ that we took out of the shed to put in there as well. So we're just going to weld that up and then put that in there, and it's going to have another leg in the back corner to support the wood that goes across there, and then we've got to cut our hole in that tin, so that's where we'll walk through. And then before we put all the handrails and everything up, we need to lift all this up. Is that the sprayer? Oh look, you can see, look, got the new tyres on the back, getting ready to go do some spraying. So yeah, that's what's happening. You can see why we've put everything under there now, because it'll make it a lot easier. And then we'll put our car ramp back in, but we've got to sort through all of this. Some of it will go, some of it won't. We'll have to reorganise it and put it in the racking correctly. So this is our old cattle shed galvanised RSJ. You remember we cut it out. We removed this post a few months ago now, before the cows came in. And we're now going to utilise it as part of the mezzanine floor. Because if we look on this side of the floor up here, the wood sits on top of there like that. But obviously I can't cut that bit of wood out and push them through, which is annoying. So that galvanised RSJ is going to support it instead. So that steel's in, we've just put the wood up, we're just drilling it at the moment. And on here like this, look. So I'm to force that bit of wood right back that way so we can put the bolt in. We dropped it, go on. Will it go?
I got one.
There we go. That was me, I'd moved the wood, didn't I? Just like that. These bits here, I don't know what they are or what they're for. These have been here ever since this shed was built. My granddad hung these up on the shed. I'm not sure what they are. Looks like a bit of cable there. Not sure what that is. There's an old belt off an old combine that won't exist anymore. So this is where our racking is going to go, along here. Our door's going to be through there. We'll have a little step that comes around here. And yeah, this will be the parts department. When we come upstairs now, we can either go to our nuts and bolts, or we've cut this hole just here, look, and that will come into that side there with the lathe and everything. We've now got to make a bit that goes just here to step on and then into there. So it's getting there now. I'm very pleased, actually. You can see that's where the door is going to be. That's just a mock-up cutout of the door. Then you'll come through onto a platform and walk on here. So the next thing, the floorboards have just arrived, and we'll put them on top, but that's going to be for next week's video. We'll put the floorboards on, we're going to lift everything up on top of it, then build the handrails and have a removable handrail like we have on the other side one. But the only difference is really, if you look through that door, look, remember we put all them perspex sheets in the roof. What a massive difference that's made in the workshop. It's completely lit it all up. We had Callum come, who installs them or sells them or whatever. I'll put his, if anyone's interested, I'll put his link here in the at the bottom of the screen here at the moment. There's his email if you want to send him an email, and they can either supply them or fit them. And I think what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to run those sheets through here into this side because it's quite dark everywhere, so we need to light everything up. So this section of the roof at some point we're going to have to remove it and replace it with these sheets. They've been really good at it. They're really good. Yeah, really good. I think a few people have bought them and I think they're all saying they're pretty good. Good thing about them is you can walk on them because they're very, very strong. Not like normal roof lights that break in the wind. Like these ones, if we look up here, they're starting to go yellow and they're the fiberglass ones. So they're probably not going to last that much longer anyway. No, they might have another 5 years left in them, but they sort of go like that and break, as I've probably said before. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next week.